All right, so get our name, all that. It says that one of these points is not like the others, part one. So we have to plot and connect the points on the table. So I go down and get my drawing tool. I should be set at about 4. 4 is a good size for this size graph. But before I can get started, I have to get my scale. I have to get my scale like we learned yesterday. So I got to think about what is the biggest X I have to go to? What is the biggest X I have to go to? What's my largest X? 6. Okay, what's my smallest X? -5. Yep, I see -5. That's smaller than the others, right? So I have to be able to go to the left 5 and to the right 6. Could I skip? Do I have enough that I can go skipping? So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 lines. Would I be able to go skipping and still fit out to 6 in one direction and 5 in the other direction? Would I be able to skip? Because doesn't skip mean I have to have twice as many as what I need? And I have 9 lines. So am I going to be able to skip and go every other line is a 1? If I have to go out to negative, no, because if I was going to go out to -5, I'd have to have 10 lines available, and I don't. If I was going to go to 6, I'd have to have 12 lines available, and I don't. So we have to use every line. So I'm going to use the line tool today because it's neater. And I'm marking my scale. I don't know. Still deciding whether I like this one better or the line one better. I don't know. And I'm marking on the lines they already gave me. I'm not making new lines. I'm marking the lines they already gave me. This is called putting tick marks, is what it's called. And those tick marks show scale. And that's part of what we're going to be getting, you're going to be graded on when we do the quiz for this work. Okay, that you know how to do scale. My last two were not so great. So you could use the drawing tool or you could use the line tool. I don't care which one, but you do have to mark the tick marks. You have to show them, not just use the lines of the graph. I like drawing them, it's easier. Boom. Oops, wrong color. Switch back. So the first thing you always do when you're graphing is you make your tick marks on your lines because that's what letting you know. And you put out on the side, how many tick marks did we make? How many tick marks did we make? Nine. Count them. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So that means this side went to -9. That tells the reader what the tick marks stand for. Okay, that I see 9 tick marks. It says -9 here. That means each tick mark is worth 1. Okay, we're going to go in the other direction with our tick marks. How many are we going in this direction? If I use each of the lines. We're also going 9, but it's going +9 this time. So when we go put our label on the side, we have to make sure that we say negative when we're going in the negative direction, positive when we're going in the positive direction. That's called labeling and showing your scale. Okay. All right, are we going to do something different for the up and down for this one? Let's look. What's the largest Y? The biggest Y we have? Now I'm going to put it up on the side a little bit. What's the biggest y value that we have? 2. What's the smallest y value we have? -9. Could we skip? Do we have enough space to skip? No, because at -9, we can't skip. We don't have enough space to go every other for that 9, right? We'd have to have 18, and we don't. Okay, so we're going to do our tick marks for those directions. And again, it looks like we're doing +9, -9. Now, some of the teachers require you to actually label these tick marks with 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. You don't have to do that. As long as you've done the tick marks, and as long as you tell at the end of the list how many tick marks you made, then you're okay. Okay. Because otherwise it just gets too cluttered. It's too cluttered. Okay. But you do have to be able to get comfortable telling what your scale is. That's a +9. All right, any questions about that? I know it's kind of tricky. Some are better than others, it's okay. You'd be that way if you were on paper too. Okay, and again, we went -9. All right, any questions about that? Okay, if you're done with your tick marks, go get started on putting your points on the graph. Remember, the top number is the X, which is left and right. Right? The bottom number is the Y, which means it goes up and down. And this would be pairs. Okay, so my coordinates would go. Okay, so what's my smallest X again? What's my smallest X again? So we're going to make it the list of the coordinate pairs. What's the smallest X we had again? So I personally find it helps a lot by putting the coordinates in sequence from smallest X to largest X. So what's my smallest X? What's my smallest X? Come on, guys, what's the smallest X? No, not 0. We didn't say X, the smallest X was 0. What was the smallest X? Closer. Look on the X line. What's the smallest number up there? -5. So my first coordinate would be parentheses, -5, and its Y is -9. So I'm turning the table into the list. Okay, I'm turning the table into the list. Then the next smallest X is -2, and his Y is -6. So all I'm doing is taking it off the list, off the table into the list. The next smallest X would be what? We've done -5, we've done -2. What comes next on our list of X's? Top row. Next smallest after -2. So we're getting bigger with our X's. What's the next one bigger than -2? on your x's. What's the next one bigger than -2? On the x row, in order, least to greatest. We've gone -5, -2. What's our next one from least to greatest? Not next to, the next one from least to greatest. Guys, is 4 the next in order from 1, 2, 3, 4? No. Thank you, Lily. 0 would be the next x from least to greatest. We're rearranging them. Okay, what was the y with that 0? So we're making the coordinate pairs from the table. -4 goes with that 0. Next x, least to greatest. After 0 comes what? The 1, -3. Thank you. After that one, what comes next? Give me the coordinate pair, please. Give me the coordinate pair, please. After 1 comes 4, -2. Yes. Okay. So 4, -2. Okay. After 4, what comes next? What's the next highest? We're going least to greatest for our x's. 6, -6? I don't think so. 6, 2. Yes, because we're going the number on the top with the number on the bottom. Okay, that's how we're getting these. The number on the top with the number on the bottom in a pair. Okay. Okay, so that one was our 6, 2. Okay, so we now have our list to make it easier to go graph it, right? We turned it from the table into the coordinates so we can go graph it. So we're getting our graph done. I recommend a 4. Okay, -5, -9. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, all the way down to the -9 spot. Okay, and we'll put the coordinates on at the end once we get all the points on. -2, 3, just counting. 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 6, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 1, 2. Okay, get all our points on. Go get our coordinates on. This one was the -5, -9. The next one was the -2, -6. Now, before tomorrow's quiz, I'm going to have us practice in a pair deck activity to review so we can practice again how to use the pair deck tools, because some of you are not quite getting your pair deck points because you're not using your tools correctly. So we'll practice that again tomorrow. This one was 0, -4. This one was 1, -3. This one is 4, -2. Oops, forgot the parentheses. We need that. Why is the parentheses important? I've told you guys over and over. Who remembers what I said about why the parentheses is important? Who remembers why is the parentheses important again? What I tell you, why was the parentheses important? If I just have two numbers but with a comma between them, is that going to make a coordinate? Is that a guaranteed coordinate? Do we know it's a coordinate? No. So remember, the parentheses is important because it's what tells the person looking at it, oh, that's a coordinate pair for the graph. And you want to be clear about what your numbers mean, what they stand for. It's basically like giving it its unit of measurement. Okay, so I need to go get my line because it says to plot the points and connect the dots. Okay, so I'm connecting my dots. I go down to the bottom one with the line tool, and I pull it up to the top one with the line tool. Boom. Okay, so we got our coordinates off the table, made that list. Then we plotted those points on the graph, labeled those points on the graph, labeled our graph with its scale, and connected the points. Now look what it says in B. B says, identify the point that doesn't appear to fit the pattern. Which point's in the wrong place? Which point doesn't fit? Okay, so that point for -2 doesn't fit. So we're going to go ahead and say the point that does not fit the pattern is parentheses 4, -2. Because why do we know it doesn't fit the pattern? Why do we know it doesn't fit the pattern? What makes it stand out and be obvious? Why are we saying 4, -2 doesn't fit? It's not on the line, it's not connected with the 9, anything like that, because it isn't connected with the line. Okay. Anything to make it clear, because remember that line is what's showing us the pattern, and it didn't land on the pattern. It isn't on the line, it's not connected with the line, anything kind of like that. Okay. Now it says we need to correct the point. So we need to correctly use the pattern to get where should this 4 have been. So now we have to look at what is the pattern? What is going on growth-wise for our table? And we've done this a few times already. We're looking, but I'm going to use this list. I'm going to use the list of coordinates instead of using the table because a list of the coordinates are in sequence. Okay, they're in order from least to greatest, and that is the easiest way to find the pattern, looking at them least to greatest. Okay, so I'm looking at what is going on between my x's from least to greatest, what is going on with my y's least to greatest. Okay, what's going on with my x's least to greatest? I got to see if there's a pattern. What's going on with my y's least to greatest? Okay, so we're going to look at those two first. Okay, So if I'm going from a -5 to a -2, what's going on? If I go from a -5 to a -2, what math happened? To go from a -5 to a -2, what math happened? Come on, guys, what happened to go from -5 to -2? What math happened to go from -5 to -2? You added 3, okay? What happened to go from -2 to 0? So the first one added 3. What math happened to go from -2 to 0? What math happened? Okay, we added 2. Does this mean that we don't have a pattern? No. Okay, just means that the spacing wasn't 1, 1, 1, 1, 1. So now we have to look at the y's. We went from -9 to -6. What math happened? We went from -9 to -6. What math happened? Come on, guys. What math happened? -9 to get to -6. What math happened? Someone other than Leslie, please respond because you want participation points. Okay, we added 3. Okay, so +3. How about from -6 to -4? What math happened? We added 2. So I noticed that 3 for the x and 3 for the y, 2 for the x and 2 for the y. So they're jumping by, whenever we're looking for our growth rate, okay, our growth rate, that's how much it's changing. Our growth rate is our change. Oh no, I want to have something different. Sorry. Change of y over change of x. Change for y divided by change for x. Okay, so let's look. Let's look. So I'm looking for my growth rate, right? What's the change in the y in the first situation? A +3 over the change in y for the change in x, 3. So what's this growth rate? What's this going to equal if we do this? What are we going to get if we do a 3 divided by 3? What's going to happen? What's going to happen if we do a 3 divided by a 3? We get 1. Okay. So now we got to check the other one. Make sure it does the same thing. Okay. Our other one that we looked at, right, was 2 divided by 2. Okay. So we're checking the other growth rate. You have to check to make sure the growth rate is staying consistent. Okay. You need a constant growth rate. So my second growth rate was a 2 divided by 2, right? So let's get that set up. 2 divided by 2. What does that equal? Someone other than Moses, because you want participation points. That is also a 1. So our growth rate is consistent, even though what we see here, this says 3, this says 2. It's okay. We are still a constant growth rate. Okay, we're still a constant growth rate. So you have to do 2 sets to make sure it's constant. Okay, so we need it growing by 1 for the X and 1 for the Y. Okay. We need it growing 1 for the X, 1 for the Y. And we were down here at 1, -3. So if the X grows 1 and the Y grows 1, that means I would be 2, -2, right? The X grows 1, the Y grows 1, I'd be what? So I need to go ahead and make it grow where each time I change it, it's going up 1 and over 1 from the one before it. So I could look on my graph and see, where did my line cross through? For the 4. This 4, -2 was wrong. We needed to be 4 something else. So where is the line crossing through for 4? Where is the line crossing through for the 4? Look where it's crossing over in the 4 spot. What would that coordinate be? So I see this is where the 4 is crossing. Right? Oops, I gotta make it bigger. Go. This is where my 4 is crossing. That would be one way to fix that coordinate, put the 4 at the right spot. Or this is where the -2 is crossing. That would be another choice. What are those 2 points? What is the coordinate for this one down here who has the -2? What -2? What did the X have to be for it to be a -2 for the Y? 'What did the X have to be for it to be the -2 for the Y? So we're talking about this blue, the bottom blue. What would its coordinate be? What would the one I'm highlighting right now's coordinate be? 2, -2 is a possible alternative that fits the pattern, right? Okay, or we could choose the 4 for the X, and what would the Y be? If I chose to use the 4 of the wrong coordinate, it would be 4 comma what to fix it and make it work for the pattern. 4, 0. Remember, give us coordinates in parentheses Do not give us coordinates that are not in a parentheses, because they're not a coordinate then if you don't put them in parentheses. We just talked about that earlier. Okay, so either one of these blue ones, either one of those blue ones would fix this wrong one. And I'm going to actually turn this wrong one green. I'm going to turn the wrong one green so he stands out more. So I'm going to go pick a color, or bright pink maybe. That's still no, can't tell on the pink. Yep, I'm turning him green. So go turn yours green. Then it stands out. So that green one was the wrong one, and we needed it to be a right one. So we found two different ways to fix that wrong one, okay? And that was because we found the change and we just did the next jump, okay? If 1, -3, and I have to go up 1 and over 1, up 1 over 1, I put my dot. Oh, that's 2, -2. This one has too many parentheses on it. No wonder it looked weird. Okay. And I could continue that pattern, up 1 over 1, up 1 over 1. Okay. So we now need to state the possible correct points are 2, -2, or 4, 0. Both do a growth rate of 1 and are on the line. Okay. All right. Okay. All right, so let's go on to our next one. Copy and complete the table. We're going to use the table down below again. Okay, so we got to go use our snipping tool. Go get our equation, move it down to the table we're going to use. Who remembers what buttons they push if they want to just get one piece instead of the whole thing? Who remembers? I told you guys yesterday the buttons to push. Okay, remember the buttons you push are Shift, CRTL, and the button above 6 with a box and 2 lines. Push all 3 at the same time, okay? So I put it in the chat. Shift, Control, it's CTRL, I spelled it wrong. And the button above the 6 that has a box and 2 lines. All 3 at the same time, your screen goes gray like mine does. And then you can put a box around it and only get the piece you want instead of the whole worksheet. Because you don't want the whole worksheet, we just want the equation for down here. I need to get a little smaller. And then I go to Add Media, Files, and I pick that screenshot I did. And I drop it. And then I get to move it where I want it, which is the rule box. I've got a couple people with private messages that they need to respond to, please. Okay, so we're doing like we did yesterday. We have our rule. We're putting into the rule the X values to figure out what would the Y value be when this X value happens. Okay, so remember you have to click off to the side first and do the math, and then you got to put it back. My rule says 1/2 arrow off of, what is the X for this first one? What is the X of the first one? What is the x for the first one? Yes, -4. So I'm going to put that in the parentheses with the half. Okay. -4. Close it because it's multiple. I have to add 6 to it. So this tells me what's half of -4? What's half of -4? I want this to be red. What's half of -4? That's what that says, half of -4. -2. So this is going to equal to -2, right? Plus a 6. Now, are those the same sign? -2 plus 6, are those the same sign? Are -2 and +6 the same sign? No. So what are we supposed to do when they're not the same sign? Subtract and do what? Keep the sign on the bigger number. Yes. So the bigger number is positive, so it's going to be a positive answer. 6 take away 2 is 4. So, oops, I'm not going to put it there. I'm going to put it here. +4. Okay. Next one. Someone tell me what I'm going to put in before the equal sign. What's the first thing I'm going to write? The half, yeah. Okay. So half, 0 off times the -3 plus the 6. Okay, now, what's half of 3? I recommend using the decimal version. What's half of -3? Use the decimal version. What's half of -3? Use your calculators, guys. Come on, stop wasting our time. What's half of -3? No, it's not 3. Half of -3 is not 3. -1.5, yes. And then I have to add 6 to it. So what am I going to get? Use your calculators. 4.5. Okay. Next one. What are we going to write? What are we going to say for our work? Yep. Half times -2, 1/2, get off times -2 plus 6 equals half of -2 is how much? -1 plus 6, right? So what would we get for our final answer with a -1 plus 6? -1 plus 6, what would we get? Five. Okay. So who sees a pattern happening? What do we expect our next answer to be? Without doing the work yet, what do we expect our next answer to be? Without even showing work, what do we expect our next answer to be? Okay. Yes, because I see the patterns going up by half. So we now have to show our work for that 5.5. So how are we going to put that in there? What are we going to say? What are we going to say as our work shown? Because we can't just have answers. We have to see our work shown. Yep. 1/2, arrow off, times -1 plus a 6 equals -0.5, -1/2 plus 6. And that's why we had 5.5, because 6 minus 1/2. Okay, what do we expect our next ones to be? Let's put all our answers in, and then we'll go back and put the work in. What's our next answer going to be? Follow the pattern. What's our next answer going to be? Come on, guys. What's the next answer going to be? 6. Follow the pattern. What's the next one after that going to be? 6.5. We're following the pattern. What's the next one going to be? 7. We're going to go back and get all the work put in after. We're just getting the pattern handled. Next, 7.5. Oops. And the next one, last one, 8. Okay, now we're going to go put our work in. What's the only thing changing over and over in the work? What we put in for the x. The half doesn't change. The plus 6 doesn't change. Okay. So let me see if it lets me copy. We're going to give it a shot. Copy. Oh, it does. Okay. Did you just see? So you can click, highlight the whole thing while it's still open. Then you can go to your next box. Maybe. I'll have to put the box out here. And keep copying and pasting. Oh, that's so much easier, right? And we move them over. And then we're going to change those x's that we're putting in a second. I'm just copying and pasting and getting the framework in. Okay, getting the framework in. And we're going to go change those parentheses numbers and what they make. Okay, so this -1, the x says 0. So that would mean 0 plus 6, which is why our answer over there says 6. This one says +1, which makes +1/2, which is why it's 6.5. This one says +2, which means 1. means 1, maybe. Right? Ah, where'd you go? There you go. Okay. So do you guys see what's going on? Are you okay? Is anybody not understanding where the numbers are coming from and how I'm getting them done? Was everybody able to do that copy and paste thing? That was super nice. Right? That makes that so much quicker. Okay. Are you guys okay? So I can go back up to the top. Oh, you click on the box. You go in the box all the way to the beginning, all the way to the end. Control C, just like you normally do. I hit Control C, and then when I click a new box, I can do Control V to paste. That was an awesome thing that I just figured out. That saves us so much time. Yay. Okay. So you copied, you pasted. It just went half of 0, half of oh, there should be +1, not -1. Okay. And then +1/2, +1, +1.5, not 2, +2. Okay. Because half of 3 is 1.5. And everything's going up by half. Okay. Okay. Am I able to shift back up to the top now, please? Okay. So we're taking these numbers up to the top. We know our first one, -4, is with +4, right? And then we go up by half each time. So I'm going to go fill in my table back up here at the top, and I'm going to go up by half each time, right? So my first box was 4. My next box was 4.5. And we went up by half each time, right? 5, 5.5, 6, 6.5, 7. I'll fix them after. Okay. So I did the work down in the table. Okay. Yes, you must show your work. So be careful that you're showing your work. I don't bother to show you how to do it in class for you not to do it on your homework assignments and on the tests and stuff. They expect that. I have to grade you for that. I know you could have gotten it just by looking at the pattern after the first 3 or 4, but you have to show your work. All right. So are we clear about how all those numbers came to the table? Are we good? Because it wants us to now go graph these points. Whew, we're going to graph these points, but we noticed something about our points. Are they all going by 1s? Are they all going by 1s? So let's get our list. We'll get our list of coordinates. My first coordinate is -4, 4, right? -4, 4. Because the X and the Y, they're with each other. What's the next one going to be? -3 with what? -3 with what? What's the -3 with? Negative 3, 4.5. Yep. So we're just making the list of coordinates, just like we did in the last problem, okay? So negative 2 is with 5. Negative 1 is with 5.5. 0 is with 6. 1 is with 6.5. 2 is with 7. Oops, parentheses in the wrong spot. 3 is with 7.5. And 4 is with 8. Right? We need that list. So when we come down here onto this page, can I move it down here? No. Okay. So when I put it on my graph, I have it. Now, are my x's going by ones? Are my x's going by ones? Are my x's going by ones? The x's are going by ones, yes. Are my y's going by ones? Are the y's going by ones? Look at the y numbers. Are those going by ones? Look at the second numbers. These second numbers, 4, 4.5, 5, 5.5, those are going by ones. Really? No. What are they going by? What does 0.05 stand for? What's another way to say that? Right? Yep, says half. Okay. I need my list down here so I can scroll up. I want it there still. So I cannot go on my x's, on my y's. When I go to graph my y, they're going to be between. They're not going to be exactly perfect. So remember, when we copy and paste, we have to get on what we're copying. We're doing equation copying, or we're doing text box copying, or whatever. And we highlight everything in the box. Control C, just like normal. Go make a new text box, go make a new equation box. Control V puts it. Okay. Or if you were in a text box, make a new text box. You have to keep it the same type. I don't think that you can switch it from copying in the equation and going and pasting in a text, because I don't think it'll come out correctly. You might be able to put them there, but I don't think they'll come out correctly. That makes sense. Okay, so this is, did I do the right number for my X direction right there? Because if that's telling me my scale, did I do the right thing? This is a test of observation. Does that look right? 9 to the left. What's missing on this number? Because it's on the left side of our graph. What numbers go to the left? What type of numbers go to your left, I should say. So would both of these say 9? Does that make sense for both those to be 9? Or is something missing from this left side? I'm waiting for someone to tell me. I can tell you this is wrong. Tell me what's wrong with it. What's missing? It's on the left side. What's missing? It's a number on the left. Is that right? Or is there something missing from it? It's missing the negative sign, exactly. So that should be saying -9. Okay, so we're putting our scale on, right? You draw your line on the lines already given to you. Do not make new lines. Use the graph paper lines. We're highlighting the graph paper line, making our tick mark, and then we're saying what the tick marks stand for. If we were going by 2s, would I have 9 at the top of this? If I'm going by 2s, would it say 9 at the top if every line was worth 2? What would it say at the top if every line was worth 2? 18. If every line was worth half, what would it say? It's a quiz. If every line was worth half, what would that top say? If by 2s is 18, halves would be what? Use your calculator, guys. Come on. Half of 9 is 6? No. No. Half of 9 is not 6. Half of 9 is not 3 either. Use your calculator. One, two, three, 4. 4.5. It'd say 4.5 at the top and bottom. Yes, but we're not going by half. Because if we do that, we could only go out to 4.5 and we have to be able to go out to 8. Okay. So we're going and doing our coordinate points. -4, 1, 2, 3, 4. That one's easy. It goes right on the corner. Okay. -3, 4.5. That's going to float between. So make your graph tool. Let me make it bigger 1 second. So then you can see it a little easier. I'm going to put my graphing tool directly in between. Okay. And then directly on the corner and then directly in between. Got it? So every other one's going to go directly on a corner and every other one's going to go in between until we hit +4 for the X. Okay. Because every other one was a 0.5. And this guy's not right now. Fix him. Okay, every other one is between because it was a 0.5. And I know those in-betweens are kind of weird. And then we have to connect it with our line. I'm going to make my line red for this one so we can see it. And we're going to use that copying feature to get our coordinates on quicker. Nope, the line was wrong. You have to be careful that like you're exactly on the corner when you go do that line feature. Otherwise, it's going to make it look like it's off. That's exactly in the middle where I put it. And then I have to go exactly in the middle on this guy down here. Okay. So I'm going to use that list I made already, this big list, right? And I'm going to go ahead and copy it, but I'm only going to copy it one piece at a time. Copy the 4.4, the 4 with -4, come and bring it over and paste it. All right. Go to the list, only copy the -3 one. I go over and I paste it. Now with the coordinates, we're going to have to shift them a little bit. We might have to actually go one on one side of the line, one on the other side of the line, because the points are so close together, that half is so close together, it's going to make it really tricky to tell them apart if we don't put one on one side and one on the other and go back and forth. Okay. Easy. Good thing we figured that out today. Whew. Makes it so much easier. So I'm just going back and forth with it so that I can tell them apart. Too low. Up a little bit. Okay, I'm on this one right here. 2.7. I just realized I've got those on there backwards, don't I? No? Yep, my line's going the wrong way. Nobody said anything. It's supposed to be going up, not down. I'm all working along cheerfully, and I realize my line is in the wrong spot. Luckily, it's easy to fix. We want these coordinates still, so I'm going to leave them out there. My points should have been going this direction because my numbers were going bigger, not smaller. Nobody said anything. Well, we figured you knew what you were doing. Well, come on. You guys could notice it's going the wrong direction. All of my x's were getting bigger. As my x's got bigger, my y's got bigger. I have to go put my lines back in. Luckily, like I said, at least we figured out that copy and paste thing, so it's quicker. I just have to fix my tick marks for the ones I had to erase. Boom. Much easier to fix now. Oops, what did that do? Okay. Now I just got to rearrange where the points go. Okay, that's 4. 3 can go there. It's fine. 2 would be up here. Where are you at? 2 would be up here. -1, 0, 1, +1. Okay. +1. I gotta go get my other ones now. I was on 2.7 when I realized, wait, this looks wrong. And you guys hadn't said anything. That's wrong, guys. 2.7. 3.7.5. This is one of the problems with the scale being so close together, is being able to put your coordinates on. Okay, we got to connect them with our line. Get a line. I want it red because I want it to stand out differently. Make sure you're exactly on the corner of the box to exactly on the corner of the box again. So then that way it does catch all your points. All right, we fixed it. All right, so does 10, 12 lie on the graph? How can you tell? So we got to go look. We got to see what's happening, right? To see if it would work. Our equation they originally told us was what? What was the original equation we were working with? What was the original equation we were working with? Come on, guys. What's the original equation we were working with? Come on. What was the original equation we were working with? Y equals what? What was the equation? 1/2 x plus 6. Okay. And we go and look at what was happening on our graph. They want to know, is 10, 12 going to be on the graph? So I noticed if it's even, both numbers will be whole numbers, right? So we start out with the fact that 10, 12, both of those are even. So there's going to be a whole number. So that's good. That's the first step. Okay. So if they had given us an even and said that it was odd, so like if they'd said 10, 13, we would know that's wrong because 4 and 4, those are both even. 0, 6, both even. Okay. When the x is an even number, the y will be a whole number. Okay. And I go 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. What coordinate is going to be with 9? If 4, 8, what's going to be with 9? What's the x going to be? If 4 makes 8, what x will make 9? The next even x. So what's the next even number after 4? What's the next even number after 4? So remember, this is our x. This is our y. They're asking us to check. Does that work? Okay. Our graph doesn't go high enough because this is 10, 12 and our graph stops at 9. So we're just kind of, first we're doing some visual, okay? If 4 goes with 8 and 2 goes with 7, what's going to go with 9? The next even number after 4. So what would that be? What's the next even number after 4? What kind of numbers are even numbers? What do they look like? What kind of numbers are even numbers? Someone tell me some examples of some even numbers. Charlie, tell me some of the even numbers. I know you know your even numbers. So Charlie, tell me some of the even numbers. So you guys don't know what even numbers are? That we learned this back in like second grade? What kind of numbers are even numbers? 4 is an even number. Yes. What are some other ones? 2, 4, 6, 8. Yes. Okay. 2, 4, 6, 8. Da, da, da. Okay. So we need the next even number after 4 to get 9, right? So what would the next even number after 4 be? So if I was just going to keep working my way up the graph, the next even number after 4, 2, 4, what comes next? 6 would be the next one that would get me a whole number, right? That would get me 9. The next even after that would get me the next whole number. So it looks like I'm going up by 1 whole number for every 2 x's, right? 1 for the y and 2 for the x. The next whole number after 6 is not 12. What's the next whole number after 6? So we go up 1 for the y for every 2 the x goes. So I had 4 with 8. I add 2 to the x. 6 makes 9. Add 2 to the x. What's my next x going to be? So if I was going to keep going up and up and up and up on my graph, every other one makes the y go up by 1, right? We can see that. 4, and then the next one, 3 doesn't go a whole number. 2 does. 1 doesn't go a whole number. 3, 4 does. Every other one goes up. So will 10, 12 be on our graph? If we continued going up and up and up on the graph, will 10, 12 be on the graph? If we continue the pattern for every 2 x's, the y goes up by 1. Will 10, 12 be on our graph? Okay. Because 4 makes 8 and 6 makes 9 and 8 makes 10 and 10 makes only one more. Is not on the line because as the x values go up by 2, the y values go up by 1. If the x value is 10, the y value is what? What would the y be? And we can do that by putting it into our equation. So let's check it out. If we said y was 12, and we do half of the 10 plus the 6, right? That's our equation. We're checking. We're using this check. We're putting both of these in the x and y spots. We would have 12 equal to half of 10 is how much? Half of 10 is how much? Guys, what's half of 10? 5 plus 6. Okay, so what's 5 plus 6? What's 5 plus 6? 11. So 12 does not equal 11. And the way we do that is we go and we write it, and then we cross out the equal sign. That means does not equal. So it wouldn't have been 12. It would have been what? Is if the x value was 10, the y value is what? 11. This work here shows where the 11 came from and double proves that if I kept going with my line, it doesn't work. Okay, so You guys have some additional homework to complete before 3 o'clock this afternoon. What you are doing is you're doing the table of values, make the graph for A, B, C, D, A, B, C. Okay, so I'm going to be changing the due time on this to 3 o'clock this afternoon. And you guys are going to work out showing your work like we did here. You have to show me your work. So you can't just have an equation. So I will show you how to fit it in the first one, and you guys are working on the rest. I would go ahead and have my equation box. And this says that it's a negative of -2, and I have to add 1 to it. What's a negative of a -2? What's a negative of a -2? What's the opposite of a -2? That's what negative means, opposite of. What's the opposite of a -2? 2. What's it going to equal? This is the kind of work you need to show for part A, part B, part C. And we know how to copy and paste and make it go quicker. Okay, this is due at 3 o'clock this afternoon. You need to complete parts A, B, and C, show your work, plot the graph. That's all they're asking. Show your work, plot the graph. Yes, you will connect the points. Will they all be a straight line? No. They will not all be a straight line. Okay, some of them will have a curve. All right, are you clear about what you need to be doing? Once you've completed parts A, B, and C and made the graph and labeled the graph and done all the same stuff that we did for our graphs here, make sure you show your tick marks, make sure you tell me what you're going by, make sure you do your coordinates and everything. Then you would turn the assignment in, and it's due by 3 this afternoon. I can tell you that this third one is going to be a curve. And you will see why once you put the points on. Okay, so you're going to have to use the draw feature, not the line feature for part C, because it's a curve. Do I have any questions about what's expected for you to do before 3 o'clock today? Is there any questions about what you're doing before 3 o'clock today? Okay. So I am going to stop my screen. Stopping the recording there.